Every single day, Wayne Erasmus, aged 66, visits the grave of his son Huw, who died at the age of 34. In February 2020, Wayne Erasmus talks to the BBC about not being able to see or speak to his autistic son for 3 years. He says his son moved without notice from a unit in Carmarthen to Birmingham and then on to St Andrew's Healthcare in Northampton. The Care Quality Commission raised concerns and criticised repeated failings in St Andrew's leadership. Then to a Telegraph article in 2025, and Wayne's son has died. It says Pontypool hospital staff knew that Huw had a propensity to eat plants, but had failed to assess him. He died after eating toxic yew leaves while on his own at a mental health hospital. Wayne is standing for the political party GLAD in the upcoming Senedd elections.
So many families are suffering like we've suffered, and there's nothing out there for us. And the sad thing is we're all in isolation. Nobody knows whose other family is going through the same thing, and accountability is not there.
You're standing for a political party called GLAD in the upcoming Senedd elections, and this is a motivator, isn't it, losing your son?
This is very personal, and I feel that as a family we've suffered a lot, and other families are suffering, and we've got to put a stop to the suffering. And unless people know what to expect with a failure of mental health services, this is what you will get.
Back in 2020 there's a BBC article, isn't there?
Yeah.
Where you said you couldn't speak to your son for 3 years, is that right?
No, 10 years. 10 years he went away. They sent him away. Huw paid for it, sent him away to England. The Care Quality Commission shut the ward in Birmingham, sent him even further to Northampton. And when he came home to Wales, they wouldn't tell us where he was. The Mental Health Tribunal wouldn't tell us where he was. It was after the BBC with Gwyn Lowder put it out. Eluned Morgan in the Senedd then said, "We will improve." And what did she do? Failed.
When he died, he was 34, and again that's been covered in the media of a failing, really, because they were aware that he could eat something that's poisonous, and they allowed him to eat something poisonous.
Yeah, the lack of care that was given by Elysium Healthcare was atrocious. But Huw Health Board got away with it. They weren't mentioned in anything. All the focus was on Elysium, and Huw Health Board were the ones paying for Huw's care.
Tell us how he died, so we can understand.
Huw was transferred back from Northampton, the biggest mental health hospital in Europe, with horrendous stories, and he came back then to Elysium in Goiter, and there they tell me he was happy, but the standard of care wasn't there. They were supposed to be escorted leave. He didn't have escorted leave. He had tendencies to eat aromatic plants and what have you. His care wasn't taken into account, and unfortunately this is what I've got now, memories.
How did you feel when you found out he'd died?
Well, I've been trying to make contact with him, and on his 34th birthday we were told that he'd been transferred to Wales, but they wouldn't tell us where. And the police told us where he was. Not on the 11th, on the 12th of November. The police told us he is no longer with us. And that's when I knew where he was. We had to go and bring his body back. We had to bury him. And they didn't want to know.
This was your only son, I believe, your only biological son.
I've got 4 children. 2 I had as a job lot when I got married, and Huw is my only blood son. And
how did it feel the day the police told you that he died?
Sad. You know, they could have done better. They could have been open. They could have been honest. And the police told us. Why couldn't they have told us when he was alive?
Is that one of the big motivators for you wanting to?
Yes.
For you getting involved in politics?
It's one of them. I like a good argument. I like a good bun fight, and this is one that's worth having. We've got to change. Eluned Morgan said after Gwyn Lowder that they were going to improve And did she do an apprenticeship in mental health and how to ruin mental health and the health authority, and that give her the office end to be leader so she could ruin Wales? And this is what I found. There's a failure, big failure by Labour, big failure by Leonard Morgan, and this is what Wales is looking at, what my son is looking at.
This mental health situation in Wales is very serious, isn't it? And obviously you've been badly let down. What do you think is the solution?
Well, first of all, training. I've spoken with social workers. None of them have had training in autism. They've had a half-day course, and when they're told to go on career development, they won't go on career development unless they get time off their work. So a lot of these professional people.
Do you think sometimes, though, the caring profession, people can stop caring? Do you think they can become quite cold because it's so hard sometimes, I think? Are they getting the support they need as well? And a number of people working in these caring professions, are there enough resources?
There's enough resources. There's a failure in training. They're now what we call battle hardened. The caring profession is no longer a caring profession. They're hardened to these situations, and it now seems to be damage limitation, and all they want to do is put a non-disclosure on what's what I'm looking for, a gagging order on everybody's contract.
It's very difficult, isn't it, to talk about how your child may have been impacted by failures, because then that child isn't anonymous anymore, and I think that's a challenge for a lot of journalists to cover stories of like what happened to you, what happened to your son, but you feel passionate enough to talk about this, presumably bringing us here. It's a very delicate situation, isn't it, where you come to see where your son died, feeling that he was failed. I mean, it's in black and white that he was failed.
I can't bring him back. I come here every day. It's a loss, and there's a friend of mine saying that they had a grandson who's 4 years old, and they've got to wait 6 years before they can see a specialist. That's going to put that child at 10, his entire life of primary school, without a diagnosis of autism.
So what's the position of GLAD? Obviously, quite a few candidates have been impacted, haven't they? Tell us about the political party that you're standing for.
Well, we want to change things. We're looking at polyclinics where you go in and you are treated there and then on the spot. So where we've got to wait for blood tests, you get it there and then, and you get no waiting. It's sorted all out.
I mean more generally, just talk generally about how important mental health is to the political party. So tell me who you're standing for in this upcoming Senate election, and tell us generally how, rather than specifics, generally what you think needs to happen.
Well, with regards to mental health, GLAD are of the position where a better awareness, a better accountability and a better openness. They are now closing every family down. They need to open up and let us know how many are out there suffering with mental health. You know, we're talking ex-servicemen, we're talking about children, we're talking about the old age, we're talking about a lot of population, and yet there's no training, there's no apathy, there's no empathy, there's just hardship in that profession.
And obviously what happened to your son, is that a big motivator for you standing and being involved in politics?
Very much so. I want change, and I hope change is coming.